already on stage with David Cam, standing next to each other, facing different ways, our shoulders almost touching. I'm trying to calm myself down because it's been a fast costume change just before, and the costumes are really difficult to get on, especially when you're covered in sweat. So I'm still thinking, oh, I hope the button of my shorts is really attached so that they don't fall off. And oh, did I actually ask someone to zip my top? And then I'm assuring myself, yes, I did. It's all attached and zipped. It's fine. I've had some ankle issues lately, so I'm reminding myself about space in my ankles and soft soles of the feet. And that's how I'm tuning into the world of this piece that we're just about to step in, which is very different to the previous piece.
And then I shift kind of gets a little bit.
And next to Gretchen there's
And Sarah
David
sometimes
Lane.
shifts her body
And
to
he
reposition her feet
leaves
and her hands
quite early.
as David Cam gets lifted over the top.
This foot on his foot the whole
And
time.
she always was very strong.
And she's pushing him under
I'm aware that
his
He
torso.
waits
he's nervous when I let go of this foot because he uses
And
it
by
as
the end she
The
still
way to get
has
over.
his weight
So he'll keep
on
this
her
foot
feet.
attached.
Daisy has started her solo.
And I
As he
know
goes forward,
I hear
bend
her
and
and then others
footsteps
so really
so
strong.
that he has
and breath. And the people speaking in the sound score. I'm letting my head move a little bit with the movement of my legs. It feels nice. I was never told to do so, but I was never told off.
As soon as he moves, I use his
I see feet.
to pull me to
Two
the
of
back,
them are mine.
which I'm not sure is visible to the audience or not.
Other feet. Someone else's. I don't know whose.
But at this point I mainly listen to the voices that are going on because I lose sight of him.
You find a calmness, as if that took absolutely no energy or thinking to make it happen, and go back to our movement as if it did never happen. We're just missing a few people from the enemy now.
And then I normally try to initiate the coming down, but sometimes people don't follow and I don't want to make it too obvious, so I just go back up. And normally wait.
I try and
until
sense the lowering of the legs.
when Chris is in the cast with us, he normally, I know he doesn't like this bit, so he normally moves his legs down really quickly, which I kind of like because it hurts my hips too. And then me and Sarah can normally feel each other at this point. And I'm not sure why, even though I'm normally behind her, I always decide to go first.
To wait for
And leave room for her to
Chris
slot in.
usually shifts his weight onto the right side of his torso in a very calm and smooth way before turning round.
When I get here, I always
This position
really
for
feel like
a section called the
I'm
bunny.
diagonal with my feet, so my feet are there. But I know I can't
I know
move them
that
out
Chris
so that I know
dreads
that I'm
this
straight.
next moment
in the
because
direction
it's quite a
where
lot
I'm
of
supposed to. I
firework.
always realise too late, so then I can't move, otherwise it would be too obvious.
Here I'm
and
trying
it
to
burns
relax
the
my
tops of his
jaw.
feet due to the friction of the floor and his feet.
Sometimes I can see David can. Normally if the space is smaller, but when it's a bigger space I can't see him through my shoulder. So I wait to listen for the breath of normally Sada, who's behind me, start the bunnies.
I'm thinking of softening, landing as well as I can. I enjoy the moment of floating upside down, seeing the audience. And in the rhythm, I noticed that all the four of us are doing the same rhythm. Start getting tired, my quads are aching. Sometimes I take time, lift the head. Next one. Finally, the last one. And now in the stage, the audience can see 3 people. They're doing fast steps, a bit funny walks, leading with their pelvis. Then there's a big crash in the music. The lights change. The 3 dancers that are remaining are gathered as a clump. And suddenly they do something very different to what was before. They are making gestures, and one of them is hitting the other 2 to the head with an invisible object. And they are also using their face to, like in a different way than before, to express funny faces, but still quite subtle. Then the audience can see one of the 3 having her head hit with the imaginary object and falling backwards on the ground. And then another one of them falls to the ground on his knees. And then the 3rd one.
I like to see somebody
I'm
trying
particular.
to and feel like I'm telling them a lot of funny story, so it makes me genuinely smile, so that I'm kind of on the edge of laughing.
Dying.
Make me feel actually happy as well.
I think about somehow I think about this moment to make me genuinely smile. I think about the show that we've done, and that this is towards the end. And somehow I think about how funny this scene is in a good way. And I think how joyful it is to just nod our heads to the beat of the beatboxing that David Lane is doing.
Imperfection.
This is where I stand at the
Lack
T3.
of clarity.
Confused.
This is where I am towards the end of Transitions 3. It's my favorite part of the piece because I feel like if the audience starts to understand what the piece is about, I really enjoy the moment before we walk out into this position, before we start to smile. I kind of have this, I know what's coming look on my face. And then I like it when we start to smile because I can see the joy in the audience's faces as they get the humor. And I see them sort of have an aha moment of understanding. understanding.
Sometimes I get really dry lips and gums in his part, so I have to sort of take my smile into a subtle way to change it. I normally blink at the same time as this, and that might be to try to help myself, but it doesn't really work.
Sometimes I find that I hold my eyes open for too long. I'm trying to stare at one person, and my contacts get really dry on my eyeballs. And then when I do blink, it kind of halfway comes out, and then I have to do a really funny blink. And then I get really nervous because I realize probably how weird that looked. And so then my smile starts to tremble a little bit. So then I pull myself together, look towards Daisy to get the rhythm back, and go.
On my left, Chris says, as an echo to Izzy's text, way out of the thing. And that's when he stands up. And I follow him as the second person to stand up.
And that's my cue to stand up also. We slowly,
When I feel Emily
I
stand
stand
up,
up.
I feel
I
Daisy stand up.
constantly
And I slowly stand up.
and continually smiling. And we continue to echo what Izzy says.
My
Lap
shift
for clarity.
audience.
A bit, I think about keeping my shoulders first in the audience.
This is where I run forwards in the travelling section of Ancient Man Speaks.
This is where Sarah is in the wings in transitions 3. As she gets pushed off by
This is where I am.
Think of my pelvis.
Ancient Man Speaks.
in the wings.
Slicing the space with my
very close
Back
foot
foot
and
under
leg.
on diagonal
And
line.
Very sharp focus.
And she
To my left is
I
Leanne.
slap my back. I enjoy this
First
movement.
person
She
is
stood in the wings and she
Izzy.
listens for the next
And then
point.
we wait for Izzy to clench
Cute.
her arms and legs.
And normally
And I
she
wait
just
for my
like,
cue, which is usually to sit on the feet to go
she plays a bit.
open
Hi,
out.
hi, hi,
And I
hi,
can then look to my right as if I've
And
seen
then she has to
something
be
in the
entirely
corner of the wing.
A little out breath.
To do the
And
last
then
swing.
change my dynamics
Izzy
a
goes,
bit smoother and
Something
Sarah
sweet.
does.
do something.
I And then she's very much still alert. And then
I feel like this line represents maybe some kind of barrier. As Vanessa is turning and spinning and jumping, she becomes very frantic and pushes past this line or barrier and breaks it. It soon forms back together again.
again, almost like an illusion to the outside. It's the space shifting. It's just used as sort of a hemline would be used on a blank piece of paper to shift the proximity of the space around Vanessa.
I don't want to
The limbs.
present that I'm seeing them. I'm just
I can see
seeing them
David Lane.
and
above
trying to
me.
let them see
His
me.
arms keep swinging past my face. I'm always scared he's gonna
This is where
hit
Chris
me.
is as he meets me.
He's only done
The
that a
movement,
couple times.
No side effects for our duet. So
Without
he
any
stands
strong accent.
facing the front,
I can
and
see
again he looks at
Feeling a
this
bit dreamy.
Liz look.
flying up and
He feels
His face.
Leanne's arms,
I can
and he
see
tries to see Emily and Sarah through the side without
David
making that too
hands
obvious
my
to the
left.
audience. When he
and
knows they're on their lift, he leans to the
Yeah.
side and takes
to
Leanne
my right,
with him.
and we're in a very
And
close
then back up.
proximity.
Leanne flicks this
The
leg
emphasis is on
around,
David Lane with his
Solo.
solo, and we're
and he takes
This is where I am when I've just entered to do my solo in Ancient Man
into the
Speaks.
front of the space.
I'm facing the audience
And then as he puts her down,
and I imagine
he
being
steps
a
back and he
superhuman
puts his
or
weight
powerful magician in this solo. At least initially that was the thought, but I can't say if I think about that exactly in every performance. But I think there's the underlying feeling that I want to feel myself as powerful and some kind of superhuman, or sometimes even as a machine who doesn't feel pain or get tired.
We've now shifted, so we have to shift back in the next time to maintain the correct spacing.
Cutting the space, I'm piercing into something.
Once again, this is the key.
Here I hold back.
I enjoy this little detail of the fingers, kind of a funny characteristic. I try to give this movement like it's time, though it's such a small movement. Stretching, suspending.
See the lights fade. And suddenly
Moving as one,
Goes into darkness, and I can still
as one unit.
hear everyone, even though I can't see everyone.
I'm stomping on something. Sometimes my fingers get caught on my leg, and I'm annoyed if that happens. And I can see the trio, Leanne, David Cam and Izzy, getting ready in the back wing in the corner. And I think my arm is here, actually. This feels more right. So I've done my jumps. I swipe my hand above their heads. Feel it's like turning a page, and they begin a new scene.
as they come, I watch them and I point and not stop. Point.
I'm cool.
Point 2, 3. Pretend that I've got pebbles here, like I'm at the side of the lake and people are going up the lake and I'm like counting who's got. So in between each one, I count. And again. And then people do different things, so I wait for them and I still try to stick with the movement intentions of balance piece. So I'm really like jolted, I'm looking. And then they come and I hit hard. And they grab one arm each and I try to hold an open attitude and they spin me down to the front of the stage. And as I come along the front, I see the audience and then I go off and into the winds. Listen, can't be caught.
Bang, a big boom in the soundtrack. She's
This is where I am.
landing
for the
very
next
steadily on
video
both feet.
In side effects. Chris is in front of me.
She's
in the comic trio
and letting
side effects.
it
And
melt.
Vanessa's with us too.
Then she has to gather her energy again to
I wait for
hit her
Chris
chest.
to move and I look at him and
she's-
follow him around.
Chris moves around.
Doing something like
Sees
this.
Emily.
And I come down.
Sensual movement again.
Vanessa is at the other side of her
Jumps
or
on.
Gretchen. And Dave
Take
chuckles.
She must
And
have
uses
it
his
serious about
eyebrows.
this movement because it's a bit painful for her heel.
Look at Chris to say,
He sees the audience and
I was
also
jumping
sees Emily.
her heel, and she has to have a very strong core to
And then he grabs the bottle off Vanessa
the balance.
and he hits Emily.
and I rub my head and look up at him.
Then she feels the
Making sure to keep your shoulder like actually
and I'm
emphasis on it.
falling. And this is always a bit different where this fall takes me, and I enjoy the surprise. I feel quite relieved here because everyone else is more or less still at this moment.
She places her foot on the head.
I try to stay relaxed, though the position is quite I'm not sure.
To look up, creating a space for to put my foot in between.
Stretching my foot back.
I'm aware of where we are in the music and try and judge when to push it, although I often push it too early.
I hope that I'm together in time with the other girls. And this is also where I start the same duet. He's a bit on my left and a bit further backstage. So I can't really see him, but I can feel him there. I'm trying to breathe through the movement. Have soft joints. Now I can see him. He's moving his arms. And he's going further downstage. Now behind him. Let the head lead my way forward. Catch it. On the third one, he's shifting with me. David's behind me now. I can see the audience, but I don't really feel like looking directly at anyone. However, I'm keeping my focus open and porous. And I turn to meet David standing, my left shoulder touching his left shoulder. Touching my arms around his waist. It's making a shift. So my weight, I give him my weight. Somehow this movement it's a very small movement, but it's such a big feeling when suddenly here I have my own weight. I'm like responsible for my own standing posture, but then I give up control and I give my weight to him. It's totally, then I'm not fully responsible. He's pushing me back. I kind of have control again, placing my hand on his shoulder. Placing my foot on his thigh. He's giving me a little push.
I see Daisy and Chris and notice where they are in space, so I can step between them in a second.
We're going through the box between Daisy and Chris. Placing the toes together.
Actually, let's go. I sit on the knee, turn around, looking at her in the box.
Sometimes Daisy is very close to me, so we almost touch when he spins me around. Here I look at the audience and I keep looking at them when David starts to spin me around on his shoulder.
I spin around and my knees crunch. I fall to the floor.
I run back inside the box.
I chase her back in the box, inside the light.
Circle with the head, taking support of his shoulders. Moment's rest. the people still going on with the box, getting faster and faster around us.
We're quite close to Rob now, I think.
Looking at the audience and to the ceiling.
We're definitely close to Rob now.
We're very close to Rob now.
I look out around the audience and back.
I look out at the audience. I don't look at David, but I'm sitting on him. And then I turn my head. And usually I smile a bit, because this is kind of a bit humorous moment, and towards the end of the piece.
I look at the book, on my chest, and
Then I look at him. And trace the pathway, my eyes, the people moving around us, going towards the end position. I see the audience now sideways, and I see Izzy lying down and Gretchen and Vanessa doing their last movement and lowering themselves down.
balance now.
And the lights fade out.
Dance! 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 This is where I start beatboxing.
Dance. Dance. Dance.
And now everyone is moving around David Lane and David Can. David Can is continuing with his movements. It's quite hard for him to see around because him, as the rest of us, is wearing a headpiece that's like a speaker.
As the clothes are coming off in this section, it gets faster. As we pick up the clothes, it slows down.